Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the HatsOff Podcast by 17 Hats. I'm your host, Amanda Ray, and I am excited to bring you another topic for this week. So my daughter and I very sporadically decided to go see Taylor Swift in Edinburgh, which is up in Scotland. It was absolutely amazing show. However, I'm not quite the Swiftie. I think I've said it on here before. But in preparation of the concert, my daughter made me listen to Taylor Swift record like, 1,000 times so I can learn every song, so I could be prepared for these surprise songs, so that I would know the lyrics, so that I would know the chants in between. Like, you named it, every waking minute, we were listening to Taylor Swift. Which I have to say, I quite like the new album, The Torture Poets Department. But one song that I really gravitated to, interestingly enough, because I don't know the backstory, right? I don't know what happened between her and Kim. And honestly, I don't really care. I'm not like a pop culture person. I'm not one that keeps up with celebrities or gossip. Like it's such a waste of time for me. So I don't know exactly what happened, but the song Thank You, Aimee really caught my attention for several reasons. One, I thought it was just a super clever song, like just very clever. Like, okay, that's a really good way to like punch back at somebody who drove you crazy. I thought the lyrics were just really well written. But then when I really started to listen to it, I don't know. I think it just took on a different story for me almost. Um, I think it's so relatable in everybody's life, right? Like, you have this person who's driving you crazy, but in the midst of them driving you crazy, they're actually pushing you to be better, right? And they're making you go for more. It goes back to the saying, like, would there be Batman if there was not Joker? Right. And I feel like this is what this song is really saying. So as I listened to it multiple times and going, okay, why do I actually feel a really strong connection with this song? I think it's because we've all gone through it. Right. And I think that there is a perspective to be discussed with the song. And this is what we're going to talk about here. If you haven't heard the song, that's okay. I have lyrics that I'm going to share with you to further kind of discuss my point or talk about my point with you. Um, the whole song, basically, it's saying, while you were talking shit about me, I was building something. I was pissed off at you, but would there be me without you? And she ends with, thank you, Aimee. Right. So if we break these down, some of the lines that really stood out to me were, all the times that you were throwing punches, I was building something. And I think one of the reasons that resonated with me so much is I feel like as entrepreneurs and as solopreneurs, when you first get started, right, if you can think back to those first years, not everybody is supportive. Many times it's your family, sometimes it's your friends, sometimes it's your spouse, right? Relatives. I've met with, and it even happened to me, so many entrepreneurs that as you start building, you can hear or you find out that people are whispering behind your back. What is she doing? Why is she doing that? She's never going to make it. Why is that happening? Right? There's doubters and there's naysayers. But I love how she says, all that time you were throwing punches, I was building something, right? I was building something. I can't forgive the way you made me feel. And I think that's solid as an entrepreneur as well. There's so much said sometimes about us when we get started. It hurts and it marks deep, right? And that feeling is still there and you can't forgive them. as blood was gushing, and she says, screaming, "Fuck you, Aimee," to the night sky as blood was gushing, but I can't forget the way you made me heal. Right? I can't forget the way you made me heal. Another line that she says is laughing at each baby step I'd take. Right? Laughing at each baby step I take. Gary Vee, don't know if you follow Gary Vee on Instagram or any social media really, but Gary Vee just put out a social media post that was like, the bigger the dreams, the slower you go. Right? The bigger the dreams, the slower you go. And I thought that was really interesting because obviously Taylor Swift had really, really big dreams and she was taking baby steps. God, I think it's such a good reminder to us as entrepreneurs that we're never going to go fast enough. It's just not possible, right? We want to go super fast. We want to grow our business super fast. We want to go from, I started a business to, 6-figure revenue in 6 weeks, which is, what many social media posts promise, which we all know for the most part is not true for the majority of the people. And it is a reminder that you are going to take baby steps in your business. And when you take baby steps in your business, people don't get it, right? When you have big dreams, people don't get it because most people can't even begin to dream the way an entrepreneur dreams, right? Most people go about with what society tells them to do. Go to high school, go to college, get married, get a job, get married, have children, right? Work in a 9 to 5. That is what society has really set up. I think we're breaking away from that in many ways right now, which is wonderful, but that is what we've been pushed down for so very long. So when you start going an opposite path of the norm, right, you begin to attract doubters. You begin to attract naysayers. You begin to attract these people that are whispering behind your back. And it hurts and it's frustrating. But the reality is those people are never going to understand because those people don't think like you. And that's okay. It's okay that people don't think like us, right? It's okay that people don't think like an entrepreneur, right? I think what I love about this song so much is that even though she was surrounded, right, by this hate or frustration, naysayers, gossip, scandal, like I said, I don't know exactly what all took place, right? I don't pay attention to pop anything. But instead of letting that break her, she kept going, right? She said, I pushed each boulder up the hill, right? Because whenever you are on a pathway to success, let's call it, or a pathway to building something, such as building a business, it is one boulder at a time, right? Sometimes you're only strong enough to carry a pebble, right? There are all times in your journey. Sometimes, gosh, you have the energy of a bear and you can just do the strength of a bear. You can just do whatever you need to do, right? And sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just this little insect moving, right? Because that's what a journey is. A journey has lots of ups and downs. But instead of letting the naysayers and the haters and the gossips and the whisperers break you fully to where you stop and you give up, you use that as inspiration to keep going, to keep building, to keep getting better, right? She said, I wrote 1,000 songs that you find uncool. I built a legacy that you can't undo. And I think, again, I just feel these lyrics so deeply because that is going to happen to each and every one of us on this journey of building a business, right? You are going to produce stuff that people are going to be like, ooh, that wasn't good. That was not good, right? That is not cool. That is not a thing. Oh, she'll never make it with that. Right? You are going to have people that are going to leave you negative reviews. You're going to have people that are going to be upset with your product. You're going to have people that just aren't going to like you. But you shouldn't let that deter you, right? It should fuel you to learn, to open up to criticism, to take the critique in, to understand where the person's coming from, and then decide if you're going to accept the critique and make yourself better, or is that a critique that you are not worth, like it's not worth the time, right? Every critique, you should always take every critique. Some critiques you're like, not worth the time. Other critiques you take in and you move forward with that because it's feedback and feedback helps. But it is this perspective of just not letting all this get in her head. Yes, she was mad, right? She screams in the midnight, "Fuck you, Aimee," screamed at the night sky as the blood was gushing. So yes, she gets pissed off. And yes, she probably has her down times. But as my grandmother and my mother would say, put your big girl panties on and you get up and you do it again the next day, right? And I think that it really speaks to the entrepreneur journey because that's what you have to do. As an entrepreneur, you can't let this stuff bring you down. And so many people stop their entrepreneur journey because they can't handle the negativity, right? Or they don't know what to do with the negativity. They can't handle the fact that people don't believe in them, or that, they just don't think they're good enough, right? And I think that is probably one of the biggest issues of why the statistics for people burning out as a small business owner is so high, is because it is so emotional, and it is an emotional roller coaster, and you get beaten down and beaten down and beaten down so many times as a small business owner. Every time you get beaten down, it's harder to get back up, right? It's harder to get back up. And eventually, you just stop. You just stop trying. And for me, that is extremely sad, right? When I was in the photography business, in the photography world, there was so many more creative people. They were far more creative than I was, far better photographer than I was. But they could not handle the ups and the downs. And so they just quit, right? These really, really creative people that had so much to offer the communities that they served. And a lot of it was just emotional strength, dealing with all the emotions that are constantly coming and keeping your emotion kind of level headed. And I think that's the hardest part, right? Is that when you have negativity coming your way, and you have frustration coming your way, and you have a new challenge coming your way, and a new struggle coming your way, to not just throw something up against the wall and just be like, I'm out, I'm done, I can't do this anymore, right? But to be able to take it in, let the frustration and the anger out, right? Screaming to the night sky, and then getting up the next day and doing it again. This is very much so a perspective shift. And I know that we've talked a few of our last podcasts has been on perspective shifts. And one of the big things I've learned in business, whether it was my photography business or being the COO of 17 Hats or being the CEO of 17 Hats, is that each one of those, what I say, stair steps in this, stair steps of success, right? Or stair steps along this journey, I had to grow into somebody that I wasn't to fully fulfill that spot. And I'm still growing as CEO of 70 Hats. I'm still growing. I'm still not exactly the person I need to be to truly run this company the way I want it to be, right? There's always growth. But every time we go on this journey, we have to grow. And a lot of times it's growing our knowledge, growing our ability to handle situations. But the biggest part, I feel like, is growing in ways of understanding our emotions, controlling our emotions, and not allowing our emotions to control us, right? Not allowing our emotions to control us. And when I look at the song, I feel that, right? She's angry, but just because she's angry and just because she's heartbroken, it doesn't mean that she stops. And I think if you listen to a lot of Taylor Swift songs, you see that same theme happening in her music over and over again, right? I'm not here to say that it's the best way to live your life. I know some of you are going to be like, yeah, but she's not married and she doesn't have kids and she's missing out on life. Cool. Like, I get that portion of it, right? And I get some of you going, I don't like her at all. I get that portion of it. I mean, she's so, either you like her or you hate her. That's not what we're here to discuss, though, right? So I can understand if you're coming at me with those things, but we're here to discuss just that perspective, that mindset shift of, this is the journey I'm setting out on. I am going to be a star, right? And maybe it's not a star for you. Maybe it is, I am going to pay for vacation every year with the amount of money I make. Maybe it is, I am going to have freaking work-life balance finally in my life. Or maybe it is, I'm going to be the best, whatever you are, in your city, county, state, country, world, whichever one you choose. Your level of success is completely defined on what you want it to be, which is what I love about success the most, right? There is no one, this is success and this is not. I know that society wants to tell us that, but there isn't. Whatever you decide success to be for this year, that's what it is. Whatever you decide success to be for next year and the year after, that's what it is. But when you are on that journey towards it, you really have to put that mindset of, it doesn't matter what happens, what struggle, what obstacle, what gossipy person, what whisperer behind my back. None of that matters, because I'm going to make it there. I'm going to use all of that. I'm going to use the joy, the happiness, which is what most people use along that journey. But I'm also going to use the frustration and the anger to make me better, right? To make me be able to accept this challenge. Because when you're on a journey, it doesn't matter what the journey is, right? It doesn't matter if you're running a marathon for the first time, or if you're going on a 100-mile bike ride, or if you are just, starting college. It doesn't matter what that journey is. The way that you start and the way that you end, there's growth. As a human being, there's growth, right? And I think as an entrepreneur, we don't look at it that way a lot of times. We're just like, oh, we're on this journey and we're going and we're moving, and we're not saying, what do I need to become? How do I need to push myself? What do I need to tighten up on? What do I need to loosen on? Right? Some of you are very anal. I was that way as well. Like, oh, very OCD. Okay, I need to loosen up on that. Right? But do I need to tighten up on professionalism? Do I need to tighten up on money? Right? Do I need to tighten up on emotions? What is the feedback that you're getting? And if you're not getting feedback, how do you feel like? What makes you cringe that you do? And how can you make yourself do that and not cringe? Right? How can you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation? Because when you're in uncomfortable situations, you're growing, right? That's like one of the ways that you know you're growing is by just, you're not comfortable. So I love music. I love songs. I love lyrics. I love how the words come together and the meanings behind it. And I love to try to put that into my own life and find if it's relatable to me or not. And I just thought this one was super relatable because we've all been there. We've all been so mad at something in our entrepreneurial journey that we're just like, rawr, right, at the world. But if it wasn't for that frustration, if it wasn't for that person, we would not have grown, right? So instead of spending all that emotional energy being mad, why don't we take it in and go, okay, I feel like this is a life lesson for me right now. I feel like this is a life lesson for me. And take in the life lesson, right? Take in the life lesson. Unfortunately, for most of these type situations, you don't realize it's happening until far after it's happened, right? Like in the very end, she says, let me find it. Maybe it's on my second page. Let me see. All the time you're throwing punches, it was all for nothing. And our town, it looks so small from way up here. So she's, on her high horse a little bit, right? She's found her success. She's way up there. She's looking down and going, you didn't have to do this because I was on my own journey, right? And at that time, she realizes that that it was completely unnecessary. She says the stars are stunning because I can't forget the way you made me heal, right? And so that was kind of her at the very end. Everyone knows my mother's a saintly woman, but she blah blah blah. So I pushed each boulder up the hill. Your words were still ringing in my head. Thank you, Aimee. Thank you, Aimee. Right. Again, I don't know what went down between them, but if we can channel negativity and criticism and frustration and have your minute of screaming at the stars, right? And get it out. But if we can channel that into energy, into productivity, into making us be better, right? Into keeping us going and not letting us break down and just quit. If we can do that, then the chances of us being successful, I think, are so much better. The chances of us not burning out are so much better. And the chances of us just getting to where we're going are so much better. So I challenge you, the next time you get criticism or the next time you feel like quitting, to reframe that, right? Change your perspective a little bit and see how you can channel that for the good, right? And have it give you energy versus suck the energy out of you. So this was more of a podcast that was just a nice little thought bubble, I feel like, right? Like, just let's throw some stuff out here and just see what your thoughts are on it, because I think it is quite interesting, just how it all comes together and how we can learn from it as well on our journey towards success. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me for another week, and I look forward to chatting with you all again next week.